What's up, y'all? You are tuned in to the Listen Up podcast. I'm your host, Jess, and it's time for you to listen up to what God has called you to do. Let's get it. Hey guys, welcome back to the Listen Up with Jess podcast. I'm so excited that you pressed play on this new episode. Greetings from your favorite inconsistent podcaster, okay? I'm going to give myself that title, y'all, and continue it because, listen, it's the fact that you guys still listen up, even though your girl is out here trying to produce some, just to live life and produce material content, but it's really hard because life be lifing, okay? It really does. And I'm excited because if you are listening to this episode, it should drop in May, and we're kind of towards the end of May. And May just literally, I have been so busy with graduations and traveling. I've been on a plane back to back, it's been nonstop. And so, but usually for mental health awareness, I am really more proactive in preparing my seasons and content for this month. And this month just really went by, and I was just like, oh my gosh, so much to reflect on this month. This time last year, I just had a lot going on personally, and it's a very triggering season in my life, from what the things I've experienced and gone through. And so I just was not prepared for mental health awareness, and I was just beating myself up because I'm like, girl, you're supposed to, your platform is really based off of, if you guys have been a part of the podcast journey, right, with me, you know that I'm a mental health advocate, and not in a sense where I'm not in any mental health degrees or anything like that, psychology. It's just I'm an advocate because I am in active therapy, and I have been doing it for 4 years. And you guys, a lot of my episodes are from they're literally just therapeutic for me, and I speak on the different traumas and experiences and healing journey that I've gone throughout my season in starting in therapy. And so this has been, just my therapy space that I that I use. And I was just beating myself up because, I'm just oh, Jess, you were supposed to be on it for this month, having your probably guests lined up and having topics, ready. And y'all, I literally have just not had any time, energy. I don't have the capacity, creatively, emotionally to do that, right? And I realize it's because of this season that I'm in right now and where I am in life. And today I was meeting up with my close friend, and we were going to get something to eat. And we were just talking, and she's a new mom, and we were both having just this deep conversation just about where we feel we should be with our fitness goals, and and just in our personal lives and the goals and the things that we've gone through. And I started speaking over her, and I was like, do you realize every little step that you're making, when it comes to just showing up for yourself, waking up and showing up for yourself, is actually a win. And we need to stop trying to feel we're supposed to be at this certain level or destination because we're in survival mode. And I was just it's time to make peace with that. It's time to make peace with myself, with knowing that I'm surviving, and that's okay. And so a lot of this season, you guys see where I've been saying it's been inconsistent because literally I am literally going through waves right now with my healing, with me being in survival mode, right? And I wanted to start showing grace for myself while in survival mode. Oftentimes, and recently we've been having this, the community, social media, It's really big on this buzz term and phrase that we've been saying where, we're no longer surviving, we're thriving. So you need to thrive, not survive. And we are pushing ourselves and, excuse me, putting a lot of pressure on ourselves to thrive. And to be in this thriving season. And I know I'm guilty of it too, because I literally had, and not guilty, I think everybody has their seasons, right? And their spaces. And I think I want to say maybe season 3, I had an episode called Thriving in the Waiting Season. And in that time of life, I want to say that was probably 2019, where I was in a very still tough season. I remember being in a very toxic working environment and everything, yet I was still pushing myself to, thrive while I wait on the Lord. Or I think I was just had left that job and I was just waiting on God. What is it that you have for me next? And started being very, and doing the work and being proactive and okay, God, well, I'm going to just spend more time with you and things like that. And I experienced a different trauma in that year. But as I'm in 2022, as we have gone through a national pandemic in 2020, where a lot of people have gone through heavy griefs, heavy transitions, have gone and experienced heavy trauma. When you are recovering from a crisis or a traumatic experience, don't judge yourself by the same standards that you have had and for when things were calm, in a more calm state, right? So I'm learning, and I was just telling my friend, look, we can't judge ourselves based off of, how life was good, back in 2017 and 2015. I was just I remember oh my God, I was in such a different space. I was so on fire for God. And, I was just, younger, in my younger 20s, and just, embracing that season of life, and not realizing that, man, I was literally still going through life. God is so sovereign that he knew everything that we would experience, will experience, and will experience in the future. He knew what we were going through and what we will go through, right? And so, I had to just sit with myself and be it's time for me to make peace with that, with I'm surviving, and that's okay. And not feel because you're in survival mode, this is something you just have to hurry up and get out of. Your nervous system is connected to a lot of to the trauma that you've experienced, right? And for me, I've experienced a lot of trauma with my physical, emotional, and mental health, where that is not just you wake up and you're back on grind mode and you're going and you're in this thriving season. Being a survivor is actually thriving. Each day you get up and you keep pressing, you're actually thriving. And so it's no, it's not this thrive where you're thrive, me showing up for myself while having waves, right, in the healing journey. There's days where I'm good, and there's days where this is hard. But yet I still show up for myself. Yet I still stay in prayer. I still stay connected with God. I still go to therapy. I still allow myself to feel. And then there's days where I numb myself. But knowing that I'm surviving is still thriving. And I think someone needs to get freed from feeling thriving is this destination, when in reality, it's just a journey. It's a journey that you go through. And while you are surviving this journey, you are still considered thriving. So for me, it's okay, yeah, the goal is to thrive, right? But thriving looks different based off of the the different seasons that we have experienced and the different traumas that we're trying to heal from. So for me, it's like, while I have all these goals and I want to crush them and heal and get to them, I have to realize just even me showing up, waking up, even just doing the bare minimum sometimes is better than doing nothing at all and completely throwing in the towel. Like, I was at such a vulnerable and depressive state in my life where, like, suicidal thoughts are real. Like, I don't want to keep going. I am physically and mentally tired. And so I can talk about this now because I know I'm not the only one that has probably struggled with those thoughts of just like, this life on this earth, what we're dealing with is very hard. It's some heavy stuff that we go through. And when you feel like, God, where are you? Like, I don't hear you. I need you. Like, I'm struggling right now. Your mind starts to wander sometimes, and you gotta have to control and take back those negative thoughts, take back what the enemy is trying to like pour these lies, and go in deeper into your word and into praise and into worship, into hearing God, so that the enemy is not going to win by taking you out. And yet you survived another heavy load, another heavy hit, another heavy experience. And for that reason, you are considered thriving still in that season. And so I just had to like really tell myself, okay, Jess, you simply surviving is thriving, and you're giving the best that you can do. And don't let anyone else try to make you feel less than because you're only able to give what you have left, right? You're no longer overextending yourself and maxing out your capacity to give out of an empty cup because you're so broken right now. And you're day by day taking time to find something, that encouraging scripture, that encouraging text message, that Bible plan, or that song of encouragement to help lift your spirit and then get you into a more centered and grounded and calm space so that you can still go throughout your day. Like, this is a day by day, moment by moment healing journey that you have to go through. And thriving does not mean that you'll never experience heartaches and obstacles and trauma. Like, it's just you're going to be surviving differently, right? Like, you may not be surviving the same thing, but you're going to be surviving different situations and seasons differently. And that's how you're continuing to show up for yourself. But it's not this ultimate destination where all things are good, everything is gravy, and you're not going to hit any heavy loads. That's just not realistic. And so for me, it's like, I'm in this season where just like, I'm accepting where I'm at right now. Like, y'all are getting once a month podcasts out of me because that is where I'm at right now. And I feel like every little win that you have, celebrate it, because you could have just sat and did nothing. What the enemy wants, right? He wants you to sit, and he wants you to kind of just sulk and like, dwell in the things that you haven't accomplished and continue to be hard on yourself. But even just with the small little deposits that you do, the small changes that you are doing, while they don't seem big on a big scale, on the big thriving scale that the world is saying that looks like thriving, you even just doing the bare minimum sometimes just to get up and just to keep moving, just to choose yourself and show up for yourself in whatever capacity that looks like, as a as an employee, as a employer, as a boss, as an entrepreneur, as a mother, as a wife, as a husband, as a boyfriend, as a girlfriend, as a leader in the church, as a advocate, in the community, whatever capacities you're showing up for yourself and bringing, allowing yourself to come fully as who you are and not feeling like you have to mask. That's the thing. Like, I feel like in survival mode, like, it's hard because it's easy for us to fall in the trap of feeling like we have to put this mask over how we're really feeling and what we're really going through. And I've just come to a point, y'all, where I'm right now, like, when people ask me, like, oh, Jess, how are you doing? How are you? Like, I'm surviving. Like, I am. And that's okay. It shouldn't have this negative tone to the fact that I am choosing to survive. Like it's not this, like, one or the other. Like, I want people to really get that. Like, surviving is thriving. To choose to keep pressing and to keep moving forward. And because that's the only capacity that I can give right now. Once I get into on the other side, and I continue to push myself, like, I can be at a more, a different survival state, right? And thriving state. But it's not where it's like this bad thing where I'm just like, yeah, like, I'm barely making it, but I'm making it. I always have to remind myself that just every day, like, you choose to still have life and to still speak life and to be present and fully present with life, regardless of the hard stuff that you have gone through, right? And don't let your emotions and your feelings lead you to wanting to take the easy way out and to just call it all quits, right? To give up on your purpose, to give up on your calling, to give up on your life. Like, this is like some real stuff that people are going through. So we need to be more gentle. We need to be more kind to people that are actually just surviving and what is the word that I'm looking for? And help we need to encourage them. And I guess what is the word that I'm looking for is to really just be empathetic to them being in survivor mode and not looking at it as a negatively, but yet still celebrating them as they are being a survivor from a very traumatic experience. Grief is tough, y'all. Like, grief is hard. So whether you're grieving from a loss of a loved one who passed away, from, health, circumstances or just unexpected deaths, right? Like, the pandemic really did a number on a lot of families. It did a number on us financially, right? It did a number on us physically and mentally, right? Some of us has gained some weight. Like, I have gained so much weight, I feel like, throughout this pandemic. And I constantly had to tell myself, Jessica, you're literally were surviving. All of 2020 and 21 was horrible. Horrible. And yet, you're still here. Like, you're still winning because you're still here and you're still showing up for yourself and you're not allowing the negative thoughts, the lies of the enemy trying to tell you you should be doing more, you should be better, where are you at? Like, you're comparing yourself to what everyone else and what social media is, because the social media is going to show the thriving season. They want to show all the accomplishments. So what does thriving look like? Thriving, according to social media and to this world, is like, oh, I got the job. I got the I made 100K. I'm thriving. I got the home, I got the marriage or the boyfriend or the girlfriend, the perfect relationship. I got the new baby, I've got, my businesses, they're thriving. I have several or multiple strings of income that's making me thrive. I got the new house, the new car. I got my master's and my doctorate, and I'm thriving. I got the degrees behind my name, and it's always connected to like a specific accomplishment or big accomplishment, milestone, right? And social media, we're going to show those big milestones, right? I do it all the time too, okay? But where now the space that I'm in, it's like, it's not about just showing that. It's about showing up fully of where you are, like, and who you are in this season, right? And showing the vulnerable side, showing the heartache. Like, yeah, I'm able to accomplish all of this, like, and be able to, show that I'm successful on my platform. But in reality, like, I'm grieving heartaches. Like, I'm grieving emotional, trauma. I'm grieving, my daddy wounds. I'm grieving my parents' divorce. I'm grieving just different relationship traumas and the things that I've gone through. I'm grieving physically. God, like, my body is going through a hard season where my mental and physical health was severely impacted based off of a traumatic experience that I went through, where, and I'll just have a very vulnerable moment with you guys where, like, especially with right now where we have everything going on and talking about the, just like within politics and the abortion, that is a very hard and tough subject for me. And that's why I really go so hard when it comes to the, women's rights and having the power of choice and the gift, not even the power, let me not say it, the gift of choice, because God has given us the gift of choice. And as a Christian and as a pro-choice Christian, because I do believe that actually aligns more to my Christian walk and my relationship with God. Like, I experienced a very hard season last year where I chose to have an abortion. And so in that space, that going through a very traumatic experience with what I went through out of a relationship and having to make that difficult decision, and that is nothing that is light at all. And so I finally have just like feel like can share this because I'm in this healing space where I think people were not really realizing like the trauma that I had really gone through, and that I'm not just using trauma as a buzzword. Like, this is like real shit that I've gone through. And yet I still chose to show up for myself. I still chose to serve in my church, in my community, as a leader in my church, in the midst of my traumatic experience, in the midst of me trying to heal and survive through that. And every day that I continue to make, small progressions, like, God was showing his grace and mercy to me in the season of me surviving. And that's why I'm able to like just say now where I'm at, like, girl, it's okay. It's okay if you can just only give just this little bit of energy. It's okay if you can only say yes to one thing this week and you say no to everything else and everyone else, because your body is trying to recover from a crisis and from a traumatic experience or from a deep grief that you have experienced, and you just don't have the capacity. It's okay. And yet God still loves you the same. His love has never changed. And for me, it's like, okay, Jess, you want to do so much more, but your body can't even give more right now because you are in survival mode. So embrace where you are and allow God to continue to still do the work as you are surviving, because simply surviving is thriving. And, you know, I'm sharing this because as I just revealed something that is very personal to me, I do feel like the heaviness being lifted from me right now in this moment. And I'll probably talk about it more, about, you know, the things that I experienced, why I chose what I chose and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's all my business, right? It's my business. So it's just important, though, that people understand that whatever you have gone through and you're experiencing, don't let that define you. Don't let your choices, don't let your experiences define you. Let it redefine you. Let it allow you to rediscover who you are and continue to go on the journey. Not the destination, not reaching this specific destination, but to continue to be present and fully known and aware in the journey that you're in. And be mindful of who you allow in your space, in your journey, because that affects everything of what you're going through. So there was like this poem that I just looked up, and it was so relatable to me. It comes from the Mind Journal. So it says, "I'm not crushing it right now, not even close, but I'm here. I'm showing up. I'm giving this year as much fire, as much of me as I can give each day. Some days, that's a lot. Other days, that's not so much. Some people call it survival mode, but I think it's just life, you know? Just doing the best you can do every day. You're fortunate enough to even wake up. Maybe that's how we should have been measuring our efforts all along. Maybe then we wouldn't feel so defeated." And that is just where I'm at, where I don't feel the need to put this pressure of I need to measure myself and all of my and efforts to becoming and being in a thriving season. That maybe just because life is difficult and life be lifing, like we go through some heavy and hard times, the fact that I can just wake up and show up for myself and for others, I think that's enough. And so me calling it and being in survival mode it's enough. So I hope that someone is feeling a little bit lighter, a little bit freer. I don't want you to walk away thinking that you'll always be in survival mode. I don't think I will always be in survival mode. I think I'll just be surviving different obstacles in a different capacity and way, right? But in this season and where I'm at now, given the freshness of everything has happened and the healing that still has to take place, I'm going to embrace being in survival mode and keep pushing and knowing that simply surviving is still considered thriving. All right, guys, this was a really deep, personal episode. So I say be very conscious of how you share it. I pray that it will help free someone and free yourself. And don't feel that you have to be ashamed by any of your past decisions or mistakes that you've gone through. You're embracing the now, and you have to have optimism for the future and where God is leading you and directing you in whatever capacity that looks like. So share this episode. Make sure that you show me love through Apple's and Spotify, through their ratings and leaving reviews. Always thankful, always helpful. And we'll see the next time I'll be back with the episode, okay? Because your girl is surviving. Bye.